But we are not here since the 60s. We started the study group about 5 years ago, very low key, and we're still keeping it low key, so we don't try to make a big operation out of it at all. We're really happy with the group that we have, because we from the start said we are just a group of friends that study and practice together, and we keep it this way. Hello, pick your spot, it's all free, so hello. What is your name?
Grace.
Grace, nice to meet you, Grace. I don't think you were here before, right?
Yeah.
You were
I
already.
was here maybe once, twice.
Oh, okay. So nice to see you again in that case. So anyway, I'm Nina. My husband Jeff is a tech man, as you can see. Christian also is here every week, so he knows everything. So the three of us can probably answer your questions. But the toilets are upstairs and downstairs. Everything you see, you can touch, drink, make yourself a coffee, tea, whatever, self-service. And we started meeting only once a week, so we used to have only Discovering Buddhism once a week, so we did that maybe for about 3-4 years, but the last year and a half, we've had this location. Before we were just renting once a week, now we have the location, so it seems like organically more and more things are happening. Now we have Shine, Shamatha meditation also on Mondays. We have the foundation series on Thursdays, which happens online. We have once a week what we call an urban retreat. So Saturday, all day, silence, and we meditate together with some experienced meditators, guiding just a little though. And then we have different teachings and different teachers, and also, most importantly, really a good group of friends. Some of us have met 5 years ago in the first teachings that was here by Geshe Sherab, and are still here. People come, join. Christian, you joined maybe a year and a half ago or so, or maybe just a few years. Okay.
But it
So
seems like a
people
long
join.
time.
Yeah, you're so much part of it.
You feel like you're part of the family, absolutely. Like you've been here for 150 years. So anyways, people come, people go. It's very open, so you're welcome to, use as much as you want of the offering that is here. Relax. Thank you for supporting in any way you can. We always welcome people, because it means that somebody can use what we're offering, so it makes it all worthwhile to us. Because to do it just for the three of us here, Christian and Jeff, maybe it wouldn't be so nice for Ani Losang also to come. So we are very happy. You don't mind, I know. Ani Losang always says, if you're meditating together with 100 people, your enlightenment is gonna come at the same time. Doesn't matter, as long as we do something. That's true. It's very true. We are completely non-for-profit, so we also don't get any government help. We are not a church, unfortunately. Buddhism is not recognized as a religious organization, so we don't get any help. It's all that we pay for this place, for travel, for inviting the teachers, for anything you see, for this service, anything you see with donations. So feel free to donate. If it makes you happy, it will make us happy too. If it does not make you happy, that's also okay. We don't, we don't sell tickets, as you see. We also don't want to somehow make it an obstacle to somebody, because we know that everybody's financial situation is different. So we just keep it open. And if you would like to participate, there is a box outside. There's also a twin sticker outside. You can use twin, or there's also a little jar upstairs. So feel free to put in your donation there. And thank you very much. We're really, really grateful, because without that, we're not able to function. And now to Ani Losang, our esteemed, really, really cherished teacher. So when we first thought about starting the study group, we were advised to go to Bern and meet Ani Losang, and at that time the director of the Bern Center.
No, I was never the director.
No, and Marianne.
And Marianne,
so Ani Losang and Marianne, which we did very quickly. And Ani Losang sat down with us and said, yeah, study group, or start a study group, that's a good idea, but it's going to be so difficult. It's going to take such a long time. You really have to have a long breath. And I think it must be some German expression, because we were like, what does it mean that we have to have a long breath? Now we know a little better what it means. But we stuck around, and Ani Losang has been support to us on spiritual level by coming here from Bern, which is a long way. You also went through a knee surgery and all the other things, but never stopped coming, which is amazing. Thank you. And also on an organizational level, I have to say, whenever we have a question about anything, Ani Losang is always there to answer and to help, and we are really, really grateful. So she's our spiritual and organizational mother of the center. Thank you, Ani
Yeah,
Losang.
you're very welcome.
And there is maybe one more announcement. We have a camera up there, and Ani Losang has the microphone. Just so you know, we don't record your faces, your voices, or whatever, just for privacy reasons. Ani Losang agreed to be online, and we are streaming it to YouTube, and we also leave it available. So if you hear something, you want to hear it again, or watch something, maybe meditation or something, it will be available on YouTube. So before maybe we start, are there any questions regarding schedule?
Do we need a text you emailed us during the teaching? Do we need
The prayer book, we
we
might
don't
need
have it printed out because
in the
usually
morning.
people just bring it on their phone or whatever. But maybe a prayer book will be useful, so you just grab one. Sorry, I didn't manage to put it on all the tables. I got distracted.
Thank you.
But that will be already useful.
It was
and I
me.
think if you need the texts, then there will be. You can grab your phone also. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, also there's not so much. I just put like the outlines of karma together on a sheet of paper so that you do have some things to remember
Any other
from
questions?
the weekend.
As I said, we are fairly relaxed, so we are not very zen in terms of discipline. So if you need to get up, stretch, if you want to go upstairs, grab a tea, just do it. don't worry about it too much. We are a small group and we are pretty relaxed here. So we are here to make our minds happier and not more neurotic and stressed.
Exactly.
So whatever makes you happy.
And whenever in the middle of anything you have questions or comments or whatever, then please just say so that we can make this a little bit like a discussion group also, instead of just me going blah 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 and then you know not knowing whether you are with me or not, or whether okay, great.
Also, if you start feeling uncomfortable and you want to, like, for example, sit down on the bed, it's more comfortable, just do it.
Just feel at home. Okay. So Beatrice, I know a little bit from the practices in the morning. Christian, I know from before. The two of you, it's not an exam or whatever, but it's good for me to know if you have had introduction to Buddhism or something, or what you have done, so that I know where to start also. Can you tell me?
We used to go to the Kadampa Center in Oslo.
Okay. For a long time, or yeah, okay, so you might know more than I do, actually, in terms of karma. You never know. So so you're familiar. Grace, I'm not sure, so that's good. So then you all know, I mean, why we do the practices. We do the practice in order to open up our heart and to realize the nature of our mind, which is, as the Buddha says, totally pure. Yeah. And this is why we do the practices. So I think, especially for Western people, this is very challenging when we hear that the nature of our mind is pure, or that our nature is actually goodness and is not aggression and attachment and greed and all these kind of things. Because if we look around, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like more or less. Seems like the opposite, almost, like people are very self-centered. They become more and more just thinking about themselves, and but still we don't know. I mean, you can't prove it to say, well, the nature of the mind is purity, and our nature is goodness, and all the rest, which is aggression and self-centeredness and all this is just temporary and comes from wrong views. I think if you study long enough, and if you really watch your own mind, this is why Shine or Shamatha is so important, to have a mind, used to meditate in a sense of to be able to calm your mind, and then to kind of take a step back and watch what's going on. I think then it's not so difficult to understand that our nature is good and is purity. And the best argument I heard about this was once when Bokar Rinpoche was teaching in Bodh Gaya many years ago, and somebody challenged him, because that's exactly what he said. He said, if I look around in the world, it doesn't look to me as the nature of nature of human beings is pure and good, it looks more like it's more natural to be kind of aggressive and just concerned about your own happiness and all this. And he gave a very, very simple answer by saying, well, if you are in contact with the good side of your heart, then it feels good. If you're in contact with aggression and greed and jealousy and all that, it doesn't feel good. And that for me made a lot of sense. I mean, this is it. And we all want to feel good. Nobody wants to suffer, and we all want to feel good. And so, especially when we talk about karma, it's really important that you apply that to yourself. Like not what other people do. Like they usually say, when you talk about karma, you use it like a mirror and not like a window that you look out and say, oh yeah, okay, I am doing negative things. But look at these other guys, what they do is much bigger than I, and then we think we're okay. Because in Buddhism, as you might know, there is no creator God who can punish you or reward you for being a good person, and you can't cheat anybody. So you're totally responsible for your own happiness. So especially when we talk about karma, we apply it to ourselves. That's very important. But if we apply it to ourselves and we're not in contact with the good heart. Good heart, I mean like openness, spaciousness, not like, oh Beatrice, what can I do for you? Please tell me, I really want to help you. Not like this. Yeah, not obsessive. But just whomever you see, it makes you happy. I mean, I can give you an example. Like this morning, I got up at like 4:30, kind of 5 o'clock, and I looked at my thing, and there's a message from Israel saying, oh, the retreat that we had planned with psychoanalysts, it can't happen, so we do it online. So please, you have been giving teaching to these people. Can you please send a message 5 o'clock in the morning? And first I went like, yeah, but then I thought, oh, come on, why not? So I'm thinking, oh gosh, they're very intelligent people. What am I going to tell them in 5 minutes that will encourage them and all that? But then I just put on the camera, the video, and I just started kind of saying something, and all of a sudden I was really inspired. I thought, like, how wonderful that 5 o'clock in the morning I can do something for others, and it's so easy. And the whole kind of cloud of, what shall I say? It just disappeared. Yeah. So again, why did I feel at the beginning so kind of, It's because I hadn't planned it, because I didn't count on it. I thought I would have time and space in the morning to do my practice and all this, and then this thing comes. And so this is why then somehow one closes up. So it's really good to see it. And but to know that this is not our nature. So this is, it's so important. And then to see when we push ourselves a little bit, and then we do, and then all of a sudden you become quite inspired. And I was very touched also. I was very touched by the teacher who was leading the retreat, Venerable Yönten. You might have met her in France at the Vajrayogini retreat. I think she's from Canada, but she studied in Chenrezig Institute. An excellent teacher, really. I mean, young, or huh? Young, no? Youngish, yeah, 40ish, somewhere. Yeah. So I was very touched that she cares about these people so much that she wants to make them, that she wants to give them something that makes it easier for them to do the retreat at home on Zoom, which is not easy. I mean, you need a lot of discipline to do the retreat on Zoom, and especially if you have like family next to you. If you're alone, it's okay, but if you have family.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So that switch, that turning, how did it happen? Is by accepting, from like you say, oh, then you get inspired, because this moment happened a lot in life. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Is it by surrender? It's like when you accept, then your mindset change. I'm just trying to find that.
I think the switch happens automatically, almost. Like from being concerned about myself, which then makes my world very narrow, and if something comes that I don't want to be there, or
so it's more the nature comes out.
Yeah, exactly. So then you open up because you think about other people, because all of a sudden, instead of just thinking about my shower, my tea, and my practice, and then taking the train to come to Zurich, I was thinking about all these people that I had met.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the heart opens.
I feel sometimes it's by certain situations, by accepting. My experience is once you accept, you from negative you switch to positive, then you embrace.
Exactly, we open up. We're not tense anymore, because you can, this self-centeredness, you can actually feel it in your body, and this is why we're going to do reflection on this a little bit, so that we feel it. And this is what I think, for me, this is what Buddhism is all about. It's like, it's not a belief system. Of course, there's some practices that you just have to have some faith and trust that it works, and also with karma. But it's kind of an experience system. Like, you have to experience what is being said, and not just, moving, not just up in the head, but really moving from the head down to the heart. And for that, it's good to sit and to watch and to turn inside, because otherwise it just, hi. Good morning. Otherwise, it just remains in your head, and then, it makes sense, it's logic, but nothing ever transforms. And so, where does the switch come from? If you ask me, I don't care where it comes from. For me, it's important that it happens.
But I'm trying to figure out.
Because then again, when I say, oh, it comes from that, then again it becomes something intellectual, and then you have to go like, oh, I have to switch, and oh, I have to think this, and I have to do, this is sometimes also when you do longer vipassana retreats or something, just like silent meditation, and then you have sessions where like everything goes really well. There's no pain, there's no boredom, and you're fully there, and all this, and you try to repeat that experience. So you go like, okay, which session was it? It was the first session in the morning. What tea did I drink? Did I drink coffee? So you try to recreate all the conditions, and you're waiting for this moment to come again. And by waiting for this moment to come, it will not come. So these moments come when you, as you say, accept, when you give in without resistance to do something that you didn't want to do.
So when you remove self, then...
Yeah, exactly. When you just go like, just do it, in a way, just like that, I think. Yeah. Okay. So then maybe we do this short reflection in order to get a little bit in contact, to feel, to experience our own goodness. Okay? Do you think you have some goodness? Christian?
Maybe, possibly.
Did you bring it here?
I think.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. We don't trust it enough. I mean, this is the problem. We're so self-centered, and we're so always wanting to be perfect on top of it. And we want to be respected, accepted, and people shouldn't have wrong opinions or bad opinions about us and all this, as if that would make a difference. We firmly believe that it matters what other people think of you. Of course, if then as again, whatever I'm saying, by the way, you can always say yes, but, okay? Because it depends where you come from. So we're still in the kind of lower section of the lamrim, of this graduated path to enlightenment, where you mainly look for yourself, where you mainly care about yourself. When you then go a bit higher in the bodhisattva section, then of course it matters what people think or what opinion people have about you, because otherwise, if they have a bad opinion, you can't help them. Yeah, but where we are still now, we shouldn't be so concerned, because then you start to be just the way you are, and then people can trust you. But if you kind of put up things that you don't have, qualities, or if you fake, at one point people will feel it, not very consciously, but they will feel it. And we're so not ourselves anymore. We don't even dare to be ourselves anymore, because you have to be totally perfect. It was funny also, because I'm not, like Nina says, I'm a good teacher and all this. I don't think I am. But I think I gave a talk once also. I think it was in Israel, and it was in a big movie theater with lots of people. And it was about meditation. And I just started talking, and then at the end somebody came and said, this was so great, you're so normal. You said, she didn't say you were extraordinary. She said, "You're so normal." And for me, that was a very big compliment. Because we want to be extraordinary, but then, you always have to compete with others who are more extraordinary than you are, or you need people who are less extraordinary than you are, so you can be extraordinary. Being normal is easy, and normal, not the way, not in a sense the norm, but just to do as best as you can, and also to honor that you do as best as you can. I mean, come on, you came here on a nice what's today? Saturday morning, sun is shining, the coronavirus is still around, but you came here, you give you time. I mean, what more do you want? You give you time in order to learn how to develop a good heart. What more wonderful and beautiful do you want for the moment? Yeah. But sometimes we take this kind of, Judeo-Christian, sorry, I don't want to criticize them, but Protestant kind of thing with us that is so inside, kind of, you have to be good in order to earn to be loved, or in order to be, how to say, würdig. Würdig in English is?
Worthwhile.
Worthwhile, yeah, worthwhile, or worth to be accepted and to be loved. It's not true, It's not true. And then our biggest problem also is that we don't really accept ourselves the way we are, because, we can give the thought to society who tells us we have to do this and this and this and be like this and this and this, but you don't have to believe it, They can say whatever they want. I mean, there's other people who have a lot of influence and a lot of power. We don't believe everything they say. I'm talking about politicians. We don't have to believe everything that they are saying, but also we don't have to get angry. It's like, that's it. So I think this is one of the problems when you take Buddhism, which comes from the East, where people don't have this kind of very strong self-centeredness that I have to be somebody in order to be happy, because they still are now in bigger families, and the family is very important, much more than the individual, and so they learn to be a group. And then they don't get so lonely as we do. For us, it's always me and the others. Even in families, it's a lot of me and the others. In the West. So we don't have that natural kind of feeling of being connected with others. Because we are very individualistic. It's an interesting word, isn't it? We say, I am an individual. Individual means not dividable. I mean, it's totally wrong. We're totally dividable. And also I'm not, how can I be an individual? If I would be an individual on this planet, I would die. Individual would mean absolutely not connected to somebody else, just me. If I'm just me, I have nothing to wear, I have nothing to drink. I would have had to walk here. There would be no sense. There would be nothing. I mean, come on. We're not at all individuals. Okay, so let's do the reflection and see if we can get in touch with our own natural good heart, goodness. Okay? So you sit with the more or less straight back, as comfortable as you can. Not to force anything, not to manipulate anything, to allow everything that wants to come up, and just to first maybe wake up the mind a little bit and make it relaxed. So for us also, these two words, relaxed and awake, it doesn't seem to fit, because either we're totally relaxed and then we're half asleep, or we are awake and then we are tense. So try to combine these two things, relaxed but awake. And that the body posture can help us to do that by having a straight back and by connecting with the body, because every time you connect with the body, you are present. So as much as possible, try to let go of thoughts about the future, thoughts about the past. They will come. It's okay. Don't be disturbed by them, but try not to follow them. If you do, it's no big deal. It's just a habit. So, for example, feel that the body is sitting, or better, know that the body is sitting through a direct experience. This is why we meditate, to experience things directly And just connect with that fact, the body is sitting. And already there, like we use two mental factors when we do these things. One is that is called sati, or memory, knowing what you are supposed to do. At the moment, we are supposed to know that the body is sitting. That's the instruction. And then to check what's going on in the mind. So already, so that's vigilance. So already now you can use these two mental factors, two abilities that we have. One is to maintain the awareness of the body sitting. And the other one is kind of like something like looking what is happening when you know that the body is sitting in your mind. And we're able to do both. So when you're trying to hold, there's another mental factor that comes in. It's called effort. You need to apply some effort that the mind doesn't go into thoughts. So you have to push a little bit to keep it on the awareness or the knowing that the body is sitting. So when you do that, what mind state are you in? And that is another factor that looks, that checks, that recognizes. Body is sitting. You notice the quality of mind when it knows directly in an unmistaken way. And then for maybe 5 minutes you use the object of meditation that you usually have. I will just leave you to do this kind of single pointed concentration or calm abiding or mental quietude, just to calm the mind or to train the mind to be on the object. It's just a muscle that we have to develop. So it can be your breath or any other object. And it's very simple. If it's the breath, you know that you're breathing in when you're breathing in, and you know that you're breathing out when you're breathing out. So before we did being aware that the body is sitting, now we know breathing in for breathing in, breathing out for breathing out. Don't get too tense, but apply some effort and try to bring some friendliness into this exercise. Again, try to see the difference, when you consciously bring some friendliness into the meditation, as if you would be watching a baby who is sleeping, following its breath, hearing the breath of the baby, watching it, not interfering, just watching with a friendly attitude, but awake. Okay, then think about somebody that you know, that you feel that this person appreciates you. And take in that good feeling of being cared about. The feeling that we get when we have a chance to feel seen, listened to, appreciated, valued or loved. Let it fill your mind and body. Sinking into it as it sinks into you. Then with soft and open mind, recognize goodness in your acts of thought, word and deed. These include positive intentions, putting the brakes on anger, extending compassion and helpfulness to others, determination, courage, generosity, patience. And try to sense the goodness at the core of your being. It's a fundamental honesty and benevolence. It's there inside everyone, no matter how obscured. It can feel intimate, impersonal, perhaps sacred. A force, a current, a wellspring in your heart. And then in a very simple way, maybe just for 2 minutes, just think, I am a good person. Not because of. Just very simple. It's my nature. I am a good person. I value a good heart. I value honesty. I value non-violence and so on. I am a good person. Okay. This is very good to do before you get out of the house in the morning. Then you go out as a good person and not a... This is when the switch happens, when you start to believe in your own goodness. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. Sometimes it needs an act, like the one this morning making that video. Sometimes it just comes. And sometimes words can help us do that. Do you have any questions to what we just did or comments? Is it easy to kind of believe in your own goodness? Very good. Has to be. Yeah. The trick is, or the difficulty is, to also to believe in it when we're seemingly not so good. When we're full of anger, or full of attachment, or full of confusion and panicking and all this, or when we make mistakes. Yeah, nobody likes to make mistakes, so this is another big thing in the West, that we don't like to make mistakes. Okay. So since this is discovering Buddhism and the whole program is kind of based on what is called the lamrim, does everybody know what the lamrim is? Yeah? No, okay. So those people who know, would you like to explain? I know this is very cruel now, isn't it? So people who nodded, then can you please explain to Grace what the lamrim is?
The graduated path.
Yeah, that's another word.
Step by step.
Yeah. Niels, can you?
Well, literally it means the stage of the path to enlightenment, and it's divided in three. Goals.
Three sections, yeah.
Sections, like the first part is based on renunciation, the second one, great compassion, and the last one, is the realizing emptiness.
Yeah, so very good. Wow. So I just said to Nina this morning, I said, sometimes it's so difficult for people to understand the structure. Seems not difficult for you because it has a structure. It's a kind of step by step advancing on this path to full awakening, full liberation. Like liberation from what? What do we want to be liberated from? Because that's why we're practicing.
Suffering.
Huh?
Suffering.
Suffering and the causes of suffering, especially. Like in more simple terms, being under the control of our negative emotions, which are not our nature. This is one to want to be liberated from, and one of them, of course, is self-cherishing. That lies at the root. Believing in this I, me, that seems to exist from its own side, autonomous, not needing any other conditions, and so to start to challenge that view that we have, that I'm an individual, there's an I here that I need to cherish, and I need to see that this one is okay, and then I can go and help others. Again, on one hand, this is a right view, but it's not the I in here that needs to be well. It's the body and the mind that need to be well, and this is not the I. Yeah. So what is being negated? I mean, this is probably the most difficult thing to understand, because either we negate too much or we don't negate enough. So for auspiciousness' sake, I think, we will read, because the foundation of all good qualities is not in the book, or at least I didn't find it. Maybe it's there, but it's the three principal aspects of the path, which is exactly what Niels has said. Because when you said structure, it can also be divided into these three parts, as Niels said, but it can also be divided into like lower level, middle level, highest level, which is more in the foundation of all good qualities. Oh,
Page
what?
22.
Huh?
Page 22.
Page 22. Okay. Thank you.
If that's what you prefer, if you prefer the other.
Yeah, it's a bit more simple, especially I prefer the other one because the other one is very precise. If you want to have like a quick overview over the path, the three principal aspects of the path, I think it's really precise, because first it shows you what is renunciation, then how to develop it, and then when do you have it. So in these very short verses, and then what's the next one? Is Bodhichitta. What is Bodhichitta? How do you develop it? When do you have it? And then the third one is, what is emptiness? How do you, page 22, how do you understand it? And then when do you have it? But it's very, if you do a lamrim retreat, it's perfect. But if you know the lamrim already, but if you don't, then the three principal aspects of the path, because the other one is a bit more easy, I think. So page 22. So the foundation. So I'll say a few words to each of these parts, so that then just to recap where we are with this module about karma. So the foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure guru. Correct devotion to him or her is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please place me to rely upon him or her with great respect. So this is a living person, and not me, okay? But a living person that you call your guru or your lama, that is able to guide you in a way, not just from his side or her side. I just say his, okay? Because I have male gurus, and I don't mind if it's a female or a male, as long as they know how to guide me, then that's good enough for me. So this is why I don't have to say his, her all the time. But you can think her in your head if you have a female guru, that's fine. So it needs to be somebody that is highly realized, doesn't have an agenda, and especially that you allow that person to guide you. I mean, this is what is important. Yeah, that the connection is there, that there is the trust and the respect and the devotion, because then this person serves as an inspiration for you, and then your practice becomes, otherwise I see some blessing is missing if you don't have a source of inspiration, like a human living being, that you see, this person is a human, they can do this, why can I not? For example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Yeah, if you look, I mean, why am I into Tibetan Buddhism? Or Buddhism, because I wasn't really interested before, but because I was so inspired by his book, My Land and My People, where he talks about the Chinese without any anger. And, when I was young, I was in 68, I was 18. So I was in the streets against the Vietnam War and against this and that, against the Nazis in Germany who had all the high posts, and Baader Meinhof were my idols, and, stuff like this. I was very violent, fighting for the rights of the weak and the poor and the sick and all the rich and all the bourgeois and all this, with a lot of anger and a lot of hate towards people I didn't even know. Here am I in Switzerland and in Italy kind of demonstrating against the Vietnam War. Like, I didn't even know where Vietnam is properly. But just letting out aggression and thinking that you're doing something good. And then I read this book and I thought, wow, he's talking about people who have taken away his country, and he has no hate and he has no aggression against them. And I was very impressed. And I was in Dharamsala at that time, and I saw him pass in the car, talking about living human beings as inspiration. And this is by seeing him pass with the car, I went and bought the book. And that was the book I bought. And then I got interested. I got hooked. I thought, I want to know how he does this somehow. So then I ended up by studying these things. And still, if you look, him, just by being present and by being the way he is, how he totally he makes people feel at ease. The problem is then, it's not enough. They're not miracle makers, so it's not enough just to admire them and be in their presence, but they can open something in us, I think, that then we have this inspiration to follow this path, which is not easy. The path itself is not easy because, as you say, you have to go against your ego again and again and again and again, and it's bloody painful, sorry for the word, but it is bloody painful, believe it or not. Yeah. So,
Can you have a guru who is already passed away?
Well, my guru passed away, so he's still my guru. I don't know how it is when you have a guru who is already passed away before you met him personally. Well, as you all know, we have had billions of lives that we must have met this person before. and if he inspires you. But I would find it difficult, because I find it difficult now that my guru has passed away in 2006. So for the big decisions for me as a nun, what shall I do? Shall I go to a nunnery? Can I finally say, I stop teaching? Because he told me before he died, we didn't know that he's going to die. He said, well, as long as they ask, just go. So, I'm stuck with that kind of advice.
So you're waiting for us to stop asking.
Yeah, this is why I'm telling everybody. If you think that it's not okay anymore, just tell me, and then I can stop. So it's like, so I'm kind of stuck with that. So I would be very happy to have a guru who is alive, and I could ask him, is it okay to stop? Huh?
You can have direct communication.
Yeah, well, I don't have that kind of thing. I'm sorry. I still need people to talk to me, because then otherwise, my mind is so tricky. I can dream, sometimes I dream about him, but he's not giving me clear advice or something. But, the mind is so tricky that I might dream about the advice he's giving me. Okay, you can stop. But it's just my own ego mind who's brought it up and said, yeah, you can stop because I want to stop, but it's like, it's not like this. So I don't know. You can, of course you can. I do feel his presence somehow, just looking at him opens my heart. This also, I think, why it's good to have a guru. But as you say, if you have a picture of him, if you know who he was, because when I'm totally out of it, I only need to look at the picture of Kirti Tsenshab Rinpoche, which was my guru, was my guru, and I definitely hope to meet him again, in another life. So for me, it's very helpful to have a living guru, but I don't know. Maybe for some other people, there's no need.
So can you have more gurus?
Yes, you can. Sometimes it's, again, it's a bit difficult to answer that question, yes or no. Because I see people also running from one guru to the other until they get the answer that they were looking for.
Yesterday somebody told me this story. They asked a guru a question, they got the answer, and they were like, it didn't make really much sense to me. So I went to another guru of mine, asked him the question without even thinking. They gave me exactly the same answer, and then I'm like, okay, I guess they must be right. So I'm like, I'm questioning your guru.
Yeah. Because sometimes also you get a little bit confused. So you can have many teachers, let's say, but then your heart guru in general is one, I think.
Did your guru tell you don't just devotion, and especially like in Indian, this guru that tell you can't question them. Like if you have a guru, that's why I never want to have a guru, because I feel.
Yeah, because there's a lot of abuse happening, especially for us Westerners, and I can give you what His Holiness the Dalai Lama said at one point also in Dharamsala. He said, you Westerners, you're very strange, you're very funny, because you accept just anybody who comes and looks like grand and is dressed in brocades and sits on a high throne as your guru, and then you don't even check. You don't even check if that person has qualities. I mean, what the qualities of a guru should be is very clearly in the text.
Because I believe a truly enlightened person, wise person, will never say, don't question what I say, and this completely, to me, is just.
Well, this I don't know. If he, the guru himself, he probably wouldn't say, don't question me. But the thing again is like, they might give you, but let me finish with what His Holiness said. So he said, well, you accept them as your guru, you get together with them, and then all of a sudden you see that they have less qualities than you have. And then you come and complain to me, he said. Well, he said, what do you want me to do about this? I'm not sending these people to the West. They're going on their own accord because they see how ignorant you are in terms of gurus. So you check your guru, You need to, it's good to be together with your guru. And how you see whether your guru is genuine or not, the only way by checking it is when you follow his advice and you see that it works for you. And sometimes that's difficult because they're not just, they're kind of stretching your comfort zone. So this is it. And then if you have trust, you do what they say, then you make progress, because as I'm saying, this is not an easy path. Then you make progress. Otherwise, for me, as a lazy person, if I don't have a guru who tells me, like, my guru didn't tell me what to do also. I had to come up with something kind of, I couldn't just go there and say, oh, what shall I do? I had to come up with some kind of ideas, because then he would say, well, what do you want to do? And then he would check if I would have different ideas about what to do, because there's so many things to be practiced on this path. Yeah, so how can you know by yourself which is for you? Yeah. But in order to have trust and faith in that guru, before you accept a person as your guru, you go to his teachings. First of all, you study Buddhism. So then you can check what the person says is Buddhism, or it's just anything. And then when you know what Buddhism is, and then you listen to his teachings, and if it makes sense, and maybe you follow the advice and all this, then like that, you know. But if the guru says something that seems contrary to Buddhism, then of course you can say.
It's like some people I never met, but I could feel the Vietnamese Zen master in Palm Village. I saw a film in Rubin Museum in New York. Two British filmmakers wanted to make a film about him. They followed him 3 years. They were living in the village for 3 years. He refused to make the film about him. So in the film, he really spoke. I saw this film. I feel him with me for weeks. And also the end of the film, he was sitting there. He's already like 90 something. He's very ill. And he was sitting there. There was light. And you just know he's a Buddha. Like, if when he dies, you know. So he was with me. I never met him, but he was with me. I would come, I would feel. And this I believe, because it's
yeah. But you know what you said before, that you should not question your guru. If your guru tells you to do something that is not ethical, you can at least ask, I'm sorry, I don't understand why you're asking me to do that. You know, and as I'm saying, not everybody who calls him or herself a guru does have the qualities of a guru. So then I think it was Kanto Rinpoche also said, well, if you're a very young, attractive female, or even not attractive or not very young, whatever, if you're a woman and your guru is asking you to come at midnight to the swimming pool naked, then you should definitely question, why should I go there?
I don't mean those things. I meant in search of truth. Like there's an Indian guy called Sadhguru. You know, he's from...
I don't know the gurus,
he's
but
huge.
then,
And he had this famous thing called sorry, if I talk too much, just tell me, honestly. So he had this, I knew him for ages, and I never believed in guru, but during the lockdown, I randomly saw a video on meditate, and my father was a physicist and a mathematician. So in the video, he was talking about meditation, and he was talking about what meditation truly is about. And he approached from mathematical point of view, from numbers. He said our true nature is always trying to go back to the infinity. And he talked about all the history of mathematics from like old Roman, and this relate to me so well. So I started to look up him, and then he had a course called engineering. You pay for a week, and the beginning I was like, then more and more I learned. So I started to look more into him. He said, when you have a guru, just get on the track and don't question. And then I was like,
yeah, but you check whether this is really your guru, because you don't have the same connection with everybody who is a Buddha. Even this is why we all have to become Buddhas, because not everybody has the same good connections with us. Yeah, so that's why. So not everybody who has the name guru is your guru. This is what I mean. But it's your job to check. And then why do you have a guru is because he will give you advice how to practice and what to practice. So this is why then it's very good to have personal contact, I think. But you know, there can be different opinions about this. Okay, so we continue, because otherwise we're not getting to the karma thing. Yeah. But it is, when you read the lamrim and when you study the lamrim, this section is at the beginning, so that also one knows where the text is coming from, because Lama Tsongkhapa is mentioning in that text Atisha, who brought this kind of text of the lamrim to Tibet, because it's all the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha being put together in one text, which is called the Lamp for the Path. And out of this, then Lama Tsongkhapa made with that structure, he made what is called the lamrim. But also then you have in the Kagyu tradition, you have from Gampopa the precious, the jewel ornament, precious jewel ornament. What is it called exactly? Something garland and jewel ornament. And in the Sakya tradition, you have the Lamdre, and in the Nyingmas, you have Patru Rinpoche's The Words of My Perfect Teacher, which is, it's the same structure, so that we're not going, we're not going too fast also. We're not starting with Bodhichitta, yeah. So this is where basically the Guru is a guide on this path to tell you where you are, or to know where you are, and then to give you the appropriate advice. When some people are not making any progress with their practice, and maybe they have the same problem, and they go and see the same guru, and they from the same group. One is getting 3 weeks holiday in Thailand on the beach, and the other one is being put into a very strict retreat. So that's very individual. It's the same as the guru becomes basically your doctor that knows what you need when you yourself, you don't know. But for that, in order to see whether he gives you the right medicine, it's good to know the path. It's good to know Buddhism. And the Dalai Lama always says, don't accept anybody just like this, also on faith. Yeah, even if he opens your heart like that or whatever. Yeah. So check your guru, and you have it in the text what the qualities are of a guru. Like it should have, subdued body, speech, and mind. Like never doing anything harmful with body, speech, and mind. So it's like, that's why I'm definitely not a guru, because I have subdued my body maybe, but definitely not the speech, and definitely not the mind. So, and then there's 7 more qualities. Okay. So then, understanding the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once. So it comes back to us. It's greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. So this is the verse that comes once you have understood the suffering that you're caught up in, which is called samsara, has causes, and you can eliminate those causes. You need to. So this you have to understand at the beginning of the path, like the Four Noble Truths. You need to know it, and you need to. Do you need to have faith in it? Maybe not so much. I mean, the first Noble Truth: there is suffering. I mean, how can you say it's not true? Yeah, nobody can say, no, I don't know suffering. What is it? Please explain. Everybody knows that. We all meet situations that we wouldn't choose if we would have a choice. Like being hit by a bus with the bicycle. We wouldn't choose it. You didn't get out of the house in the morning saying, oh, I hope I will have an adventure today and I'll get hit by a bus. Nobody, it happens. You go like, oh no. So like this, like there is suffering. That this suffering comes from wrong views, aggression, and detachment, I think we can also see. We don't even have to go into kind of other dimensions. We can see it on this planet. We are destroying this planet because of greed, because of self-centeredness, because of stupidity, because we don't see how dependent we are on Mother Earth, and that she is absolutely not dependent on us. And profit and being successful and being famous has become the big thing. That we damage ourselves and others, this doesn't matter anymore. I mean, if that's not delusion and negative emotions, I don't know what it is. So these first 2 things we can check that is true. The third one, that it's possible to be without negative emotions. This implies, I think, some faith. But we can check, as we did the meditation in the morning, we can check our mind states when we are totally open. Then we also see then negative emotions have no chance to arise at that moment. So we know short moments of not absence of wrong views, but at least absence of aggression and absence of attachment and desire, where we are totally okay. So we can say, oh, if I let go of that wrong view, and the wrong views we can examine them. We can see logically that whatever I think is there, and I think it objectively existing out there like this cup, I have to find it. Otherwise, if I just see it, but then I can't find it, I mean, how can it exist the way that it appears to me? And then I take the whole cup apart and I can't find any atom of cup. Then also we can say, well, logically, this is true. Even instinctively, it doesn't feel like that. Instinctively, it feels that cup is out there. And there is a me, I, who sees that cup. But then I start to question it. The I sees the cup. I'm not talking about this I, yeah? No, it's the eyeball or whatever, then the light coming in and then it's going through all these things. I don't know how it works exactly. I'm sure many of you know better how this works. And then, there's a contact, and then there's an impulse, and then there's a reaction and all this. And then slowly, the brain, it needs a lot of other factors in order to see something. It needs many factors to see something. And then slowly, the mental consciousness comes in and calls it cup. And then I say, I see cup. Even just thinking like that, how many factors it needs to be to see cup, the I loses its power. It becomes, it's made up of many different things. It's not a singular individual I, me. Yeah. So also this, we don't have a direct experience of it, but at least we can see. And we can see that this is the problem. We can definitely see it in others when they're very selfish. Then we see that selfishness is the problem. When we are, so like this. Okay, so then we want to go on a path. This is the fourth noble truth, the path. And there's many, many different paths because there's many, many different people. This is why the Buddha gave 84,000 people, not because one person needs 84,000 people, 4,000 teachings, but because many people need different teachings. This is why. And also not only one person can go with the same teaching all the time. It's like one person changing on the path and therefore then needs different instructions. The same way as when you are sick and your body needs to get healthy. Okay, so we want to go on this path, which is many paths, we understand. And in order to be able to do that, you need something. Like we have decided, okay, for noble truths, I accept them. So I want to get out of what is called this kind of compulsive being reborn again and again and again and again and again under the control of my negative emotions. This is what is called renunciation. Renunciation, not such a good word. It's like, I want to get out. I had enough, I know I have this beautiful potential to have a totally open heart, even towards idiots and people who harm others, but still I want them to be well so that they can stop being idiots. I want to be able to live that potential. It's okay when you're frustrated sometimes and say, I've had enough of this, this confused mind, this self-centered mind. Every time in a self-centered way, I get what I want, but I'm still not happy, and I want something else and all this. When we start to really observe this process, what we do all the time is like, it's okay to say like, enough. Lama Yeshe used to call it definite emergence. He never called it renunciation. He said renunciation frightens you and it seems like, a punishment or whatever. You don't deserve to be happy. No, get out of here. Yeah. So in order to get out, we have to check, do I have what I need? And this is it. This is the precious human rebirth. I think we did that last time, so I'm afraid I cannot go into it. But if you get any lamrim book, you will find what is a precious human rebirth. A precious human rebirth is, first, you have interest wanting to get out. This we always forget, And you have the conditions to get out, like you have teachers, teachings, you have groups where you can practice, you have the material, you are not overcome by total sickness or total greed or you can understand, you have intelligence and all this. So these are the conditions that you need in order to be able to practice. And when you have them, it's called precious human rebirth. So instead of feeling guilty that we have it and we don't use it properly, which is another very good Western way of not using it, is by just feeling guilty and feeling shame and, or doubt or whatever. Wow, I'm so bad. I know I have all these conditions, but I never do anything with them. And then you're blocked again. Perfect excuse for not practicing. So we understand, I have it, please bless me. And this is where kind of when you are stuck, because you understand how difficult it is, you ask for blessings from the Guru. And you see you see your Guru as the Buddha in the form of Shakyamuni or whatever. You see the blessings in the form of light coming into you. We do it tomorrow when we do Vajrasattva meditation. And it does something to your subtle mind. Maybe not being understandable with the brain, I don't know. But if you try it out and you open up to these blessings, inspiration. Why? Because when you visualize the Buddha, you see and you know the qualities of the Buddha, it wakes up your own qualities. We can visualize the Buddha because we have these same qualities, and it inspires us because it goes towards truth and towards goodness. So then that's why. And then it kind of our practice, which otherwise becomes very dry. It's like, a flower who is, and it gets watered. And these are these blessings. And it's like we are being blessed by many things the whole day. By whatever we see and we have an opinion about, we're being blessed because it has an influence on us. This is what a blessing is. It's not some magical force by the Guru who is able to do that. No, it's like it's touching sides in us that kind of direct us towards that goal of full awakening. Whereas if I see the politicians, I'm also being blessed by them because I'm getting upset and I'm getting angry, maybe not, but at least disturbed by saying, how can somebody be so stupid? Then my negative mind comes up, judging them. So then the blessing of the politician is kind of turning me into a wrong direction, whereas the blessing of the Buddha and the Guru, because I admire that, is helping me to go into that direction. So that's what it means, the blessings of the Guru. It's nothing mystical or that they kind of pour something into you, although we visualize it. It's like they nourish our positive sides. But blessed and inspired and we're blessed, we're the whole day we're blessed by things. Everything we see, everything we have an opinion about, even if it's unconscious, we are being influenced by it. This is what it means, basically. Maybe we should kind of change the word blessing, because blessing is religious and it's God and it's this, and people say, oh no, thank you, I don't know what I'm getting here. So it's like, no, it's like, do you want to be influenced by love, compassion and wisdom? And then you open yourself up. Yeah, this is where we say, where we ask, may I understand that that situation I'm in at the moment is so special and is so rare and is so difficult to get. And then the next verse, and is so fragile. Yeah. So the first step is on this path is to see, hey, at the moment I have everything I need to go on this path. That's the first step. We don't need to worry, how will I use it? What will happen? And all this, because then again, you block yourself. So you have this joy and this gratitude, not for the Buddha, the gratitude for your previous lives, the self in your previous lives who has created these causes in order for you now to have the fruit to be able to practice. That's all. So we don't need to say thank you to the Buddha or the Guru or whatever. It just, wow, this mind stream of mine, which was not the same because changing all the moment, but at one point it got its act together and practiced what Nagarjuna said, in his Ratnavali, in the Precious Garland. It's not so difficult to get human rebirth, precious human rebirth. Ethical conduct, generosity, patience. Then he's adding a few things like ethical conduct means abstaining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. We'll hopefully come to them in this weekend. So we'll know them. It's very easy to understand them. It's not easy to abstain totally, but it's easy to understand what they are. Abstaining from them, then no intoxicants, I think he says, so he's adding a few things. No intoxicants.
Nagarjuna said no intoxicants?
Yeah, for a precious human rebirth in the Ratnavali. Oh, why? You lost your admiration for Nagarjuna?
No, I love Nagarjuna.
I tell you, Nagarjuna is totally my hero. I mean, he's so practical, the things he says, yeah.
Yes.
So
Especially
practical.
teaching
So
emptiness.
practicing love, honoring the ones who are worthy of being honored, no intoxicants, exactly, then not harming others. So not just the 10 non-virtuous actions, but also not harming others, practicing generosity with a good heart, and the sixth one I forgot. I think it was on the list I gave you last time with death, rebirth and death. The 16 practices for precious human rebirth. That is from Nagarjuna, from the Ratnavali. But basically the ones that he's talking about all the time is ethical conduct, generosity, and patience. And this we can practice. So this is our task now in this life, to make sure that we have another good rebirth next time round. And especially with the ethical conduct. On the lower level, this is not yet the ethical conduct of a bodhisattva. We don't have to jump so far, we have to start practically. So then the next life is, we start to appreciate it when we see how fragile it is. So this life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. So it's only when we realize how we can lose something just like this, we start to appreciate it, isn't it? It's only then. Or sometimes not even then. Sometimes only after we have lost it, we start to appreciate it. Or we start to regret that we did not appreciate it properly. Yeah, I mean, if we look, at our existence, even without any spiritual practices, here in the West, here in Switzerland, I mean, how can you ever be depressed? How? If you look at other countries and just humans, top of it, if you look at the animals in these slaughterhouses, how can you say that you have a difficult life? But, yeah, so this is what I mean. So we, just in the morning, just to become aware. I'm so fortunate. I have a mind who understands these things. Every second, I can shape my future now. We have that choice and we don't take it. We don't have full choice, okay? We'll come to that also. But we have a choice and we're not taking it. Why? Because we are so attached to pleasure. We are so into, if I need this, I need that, and I need this, and especially the Swiss people in Bern, like I need to go to the mountains, I need to do sports, I need to do this and that and that. And it's true, they need it. Why? Because they're convinced that they need it, so then they need it. And the value for working with the mind is not strong enough. So then if they would have to come here and listen to me, that would be tortures, and then it won't work anyway, It only works when we see the value of something. Then it starts to transform your mind. If it's some kind of duty exercise, then you better go and go to the mountains. Yeah. And you can also, it doesn't mean that Dharma practice, it doesn't mean it's only in the center, on the cushion, with a proper book in front of you. You can turn everything into a Dharma practice. When you really recognize, I wouldn't be able to listen to her that weekend, so I need to go to the mountain so that I can listen to somebody else or her, whatever, another weekend. And when you're on top of the mountain and you feel like, wow, you go like, may all beings be able to enjoy these things. May nobody suffer. So then you turn it into a Dharma practice. If you want to come here because you want to impress somebody, even you hear wonderful words when somebody else is sitting here, then it's not a Dharma practice. It's your motivation who determines whether it's a Dharma practice or not. Yeah. And it's okay to, on the lower level, to think, I want to get out of samsara, without even thinking about others first. Yeah? To really understand our own suffering and to really understand our own potential to be able to get out of it. And at the moment we can do this, and at the moment we are doing it, because you're all here. Yeah. So, of course, going on the mountain short term, that gives you a much better feeling than sitting here. But long term is like, and this is our problem, because we don't believe in rebirth. Yeah, we believe it. We believe it up here again, but deep down, it takes a long time. Or you are like me, I always believed in rebirth, in a totally non-spiritual family. And they thought I was gaga. And so finally when I met Buddhism, I thought, I'm not the only one, kind of, who is convinced that. I didn't know it was like beginningless. This I didn't know. That was also a bit big at the beginning. But that something continues after death, I never questioned that. And not just going into some paradise or heaven, but coming back in a form onto this planet. I also thought always human. I didn't like it very much when they say you can come back as hell being and hungry ghost and all that. But I do accept it. Because I gain from it if I accept it. Yeah, if I don't accept it, I can only lose. And then if it's not true, doesn't matter. At least, it helped me not to do whatever comes into my mind. So at least I led a life that was more or less okay. Then if there is no rebirth, doesn't matter. Can still go happily. But if I don't believe it and there is rebirth, poof, then I get a big surprise. I can only lose. You can only lose not to believe in rebirth. Yeah. Anyway, so this life is as impermanent as a water bubble. So if you want to practice, we need to do it now. Okay? Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish virtuous deeds. So we study karma. This is what we'll do this weekend. So that's the lower level. Like you practice because you want to have a good rebirth next time. You don't want to go to the lower states. Yeah. And if you don't believe in like hungry ghosts and hell beings and all this, Afghanistan, Syria, countries like this, Africa, is enough. Even if I would pay you a holiday in Syria, would you go? Because it's free? Even in a 5-star hotel? None of us would go. Because we understand it's too dangerous there. Yeah. But the problem is we're very short-term thinking, this life I have to be, it will be a good life if I had a lot of pleasures, if I was successful, if I earned a lot of money, then I will be able to go happily. Yeah, isn't it? This is motivation is. We want to cram everything into this one life. But sense pleasures, I know it's not the topic, but anyway, I'm saying it anyway. Sense pleasures, you need to be in contact with them all the time, because the moment you are away from them, the pleasure is finished. And what comes? Longing, yearning. Not, oh, it was so wonderful. It was so wonderful. That also comes. But then, when is next time I can have this? It's not, I had enough. I don't need it anymore. It's only when you're fed up with it, you go like, I had enough, Huh?
Recently read an article, a serious article on like CNN or something. I had to laugh. It was how to fight post-vacation depression.
Yeah.
And it was somebody writing about like whenever they come from vacation, even already before their vacation stops,
Totally.
so even when they are on their vacation, which they're supposed to be enjoying, they're already getting depressed because they are worried that they have to come back and then vacation is over, and then for a long time after vacation they had deep depression that they were fine. And they said that they discovered this new way which they can recommend everybody. They always plan 2 vacations at a time, so
you can look forward to the next one.
Right. So before when they come back from one vacation, they already plan not the next one, but the next to the next one, so that when they're on vacation, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's really complicated, but it's true. Oh my
But it's so true. And if you look at, vacation, what people do to themselves, because I watched a documentary yesterday in the German TV about camping grounds, how people like kilometers of kind of caravans to get into this camping ground. And they call it pleasure. You see, the problem is, the moment you call it pleasure, it does become pleasure. This is the problem, but it's not because it's pleasure, because you call it pleasure. And even if everything is open, like these kilometers on the Gotthard, where they have to cross the mountain to go to the south, and then they go and they have to fight for a space on the beach. They get sick, the food is not the way they want it to be, they spend a lot of money, and what for? To come home and again in these traffic jams, and they call this holiday. I mean, the post-holiday, you sleep in your own bed, you have your doctor where you are, when you go to your workplace you don't have to fight, this is my place. It's like, it's so much, life at home is so much easier. And I think many people discovered it during this corona crisis, that actually life at home is not so bad. So because we were forced to, So and imagine the pain after post-relationship. You were in love with somebody and all of a sudden the other person doesn't want you anymore.
In China, when we ended, the news came out everywhere. The divorce rate shoot up like crazy. In Shanghai, we ended March 1st. The next appointment to file for divorce was April 28th. In Shenzhen, the people put ads. If you have a number, to pay a very high price to get your queue.
Yeah.
It was like shocking.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, sometimes I really question humanity's intelligence. Except for us being here, of course. But I mean, when I see these things, I go like, what? But this is when Lama Zopa always says, you label it pleasure, it becomes pleasure. You label it suffering, it becomes suffering. Has nothing to do with the thing outside. Just to hear this, if one would have to pay for it, I mean, this is so valuable, just to hear it. Yeah.
So you mean the situation is neutral and you call it good or bad?
Yeah, exactly. But the mind doesn't see it like that. So we need to hear this first, because it doesn't appear like that. It appears as if the pleasure is coming from the object. But that's wrong. Yeah. It's your mind who has this certain connection with this certain object and then feels a pleasant feeling. We'll come to that. Where do pleasant feelings come? And that's the problem, because it feels pleasant. But the feeling is not coming from the object. The feeling comes from something different. Okay, so the next verse is, seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. So we go to the next level, which says, wow, even reborn in Switzerland is still suffering. So it's not, even in Switzerland, I'm not safe. And I think we also understood this with the coronavirus. All of a sudden, situation is out of control. Yeah, we're not protected. Our government can protect us from many things, but not from the virus. That was a big shock for many people.
I thought the Italian border would block it.
Yeah, right.
It didn't.
Yeah, people even said, yeah, Italy, I'm not surprised. Of course, it happens in Italy and all this and that. And then even this idea that, people were shocked when it started to come to the Ticino. I said, like, well, what do you think? Exactly. So this is it. So we see even Switzerland. So here it doesn't say, be careful, because then people hear this, they go, oh, these Buddhists, you can't have any pleasures. Yeah, it's like everything that is, you can have pleasures. It's not having pleasures, that's fine. But seeking them, that is the problem. If you seek them, if you go and look for them, if you fight for them, if you neglect other things that would be more useful, then it becomes the door to all suffering. Why?
Because of attachment.
Huh?
Because of attachment.
Yeah, and attachment, what does attachment do? Projects.
Separate.
Attachment projects, what does it project?
Good qualities.
Huh?
It's exaggerating the good qualities.
The good qualities, and it kind of projects permanence. It projects, if I get this watch, I will be happy ever after. And that's not true. And then we suffer, because then the post thing comes. The post trauma of losing it, or even this, unfortunately we don't notice the post-trauma of attachment gone, pleasure gone. If I'm not attached to this anymore, the pleasure of seeing it is gone.
That's why we need to buy a new one.
Exactly. That's why we need to buy a new one. Yeah. But if you see this object for what it is to show me the time. It's not to give me pleasure. You see, the moment you think that it's the watch is giving you pleasure, because that fades away, that's why you need a new one. If you see it, but hey, this is not to give me pleasure, this is to show me the time. I used to have a Rolex, you know. Now this is from the Micro. I gave it away when I became a nun because it would not be very befitting, isn't it? So, yeah. And I bought it because it was a status symbol. I mean, who can be crazy enough to kind of spend, at that time it was still 3,000, so it was okay. You know, now I don't know how much they cost now, because that's like 40 years ago or something. I was as crazy as that for a watch to spend like 3,000 francs. So it's like, now I think of it, I go like, but yeah, I was proud of my watch. This became my Rolex. Can you imagine if somebody would have stolen it? I would have immediately bought another one. Probably. I had a lot of money, so this is so then nobody had to suffer because I was kind of buying this Rolex watch. So that was okay. But yeah, there was total protection on this Rolex watch. On top of it, because there were so many fake ones around, you know. So if you wouldn't take it in your hands and see that it's a heavy one, because all the fake ones are very light, you know. So you become an expert in seeing it. Even just looking at it, this one's fake, you know. This is the crazy mind, the crazy attachment mind with total protection on this thing. Okay, so then you see nowhere in samsara is safe, so you want to get out of it. Yeah, you don't want to be reborn again and again and again under the control of the negative emotions. So that's the middle stage. You practice the Four Noble Truths, and especially studying your negative emotions. So what you practice is ethical conduct again, concentration, and wisdom. These are the 3 higher trainings, it's called, and that would get you out of samsara. That will get you recognize that this projected I, me, does not exist. So, and then you meditate on that again and again and again and again until the firm belief in it is gone, and you go into what is called nirvana. Yeah, you're not reborn under the control of negative emotions anymore. But for the system that is being practiced here, it is not enough. So you think that in all my lives I am totally dependent on others, yeah, for my daily survival and for my pleasures and whatever. So I can't just disappear into nirvana. And also to see I have the potential to lead them out of nirvana, out of samsara. So this is why I want to practice, to have the qualities of a fully awakened being. And so you continue with the practice and you develop what is called bodhicitta. A mind who says, nirvana is not enough. I need to work further in order to develop, to become omniscient, to have universal compassion, universal wisdom, universal love, and skillful means in order to guide others out of that state, because everybody has the potential, and it's called bodhicitta. So, but first the next verse is still the middle stages. So, led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Yeah, keep taking vows. If you want to take vows tomorrow morning, 4:30, you can. You don't have to come here. We'll do it online. So, because tomorrow is new moon. So then it's a full moon. Sorry, tomorrow is full moon. So then we always take them, if you want.
Which vows?
The 8 Mahayana vows. We'll talk maybe about them a little bit this afternoon.
Just for a day.
Huh?
Just for a day.
It's just for a day. Yeah. This is why. So we take them. So you get the taste how it feels of taking baths, because it makes you much more alert and aware. Yeah, and it's really helped to say, oh no, not today, tomorrow, no, not today. So we'll talk about them this afternoon. Okay, but then it's like Bodhichitta, just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so of all other migratory beings, please bless me to see this, train in supreme Bodhichitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. I think this is a human attitude almost that we have, because when we recognize that somebody has been really kind to us, and we're not too much self-absorbed, it's, how do you say, das steht mir zu. Wie sagt man dem auf Englisch? It's due to me, or kind of, well, of course, like...
I deserve it.
I deserve it, yeah, like this. If you're not too much, well, of course, I deserve it. Then you have a wish to repay that kindness, very naturally, actually. And we feel very uncomfortable if we can't. So this is the best way of repaying that kindness of all these beings who work for us day by day by day by day. Again, the coronavirus, all of a sudden, we became aware how dependent we are on those people who do very kind of low jobs. The people in the shops, the people, well, of course, the people in the hospitals, firstly, but also for those who are not sick, we still need a lot of things. People driving lorries, bring all the things, the farmers and all this. All of a sudden, all these we said thank you to these people that we usually don't even see, don't even notice, and we would definitely not take a job like this if we had a choice. So,
the question, according to the lamrim here, it says basically that first, before realizing emptiness, the last paragraph that you read, you have to develop compassion or bodhicitta. Because this paragraph talks about compassion.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is before emptiness.
It depends. Some people first they develop emptiness. It depends on the people. Yeah, right. Actually, before this verse is more the practices that you do according with people who have a motivation. The first ones just to have a precious human rebirth. Yeah. This is fine. The other ones, like the founder vehicle, or His Holiness calls it now the Pali tradition, like getting out of samsara. Yeah. Right. So you need to do these practices, even though the motivation for doing these practices in general is quite is low. Is not a nice word, but it's kind of short-termed than the Mahayana. But still, from the beginning, you kind of integrate your Mahayana attitude into it. Yeah. So here, until here, it didn't even talk about compassion yet. It's compassion for yourself.
Oh, I thought the last paragraph.
The last one, yeah. The last one is it starts with the third level.
The third level. Which
is Mahayana. So the Sanskrit tradition.
It sounds to me, how can you really think about benefiting others and if you're still suffering?
Yeah.
If you still haven't realized emptiness, it's hard to say,
definitely.
Okay, I'm going to...
Definitely. The thing is, if you don't have a lot of positive energy, you will not realize emptiness. So this is where we gather it, is kind of by doing whatever we can already now, by practicing the 6 perfections, not by doing these perfections. It's also another thing we mistake sometimes. Like the 6 perfections of a bodhisattva are the practices of a bodhisattva. Then as a Buddha, you'll be able to do this vollkommen, how to say, perfectly. Yeah, but us, we are just practicing them. But yes, you're right. We cannot, I don't know, I'm talk to somebody, I maybe give them some advice. Very often I try not to. I try to direct them somewhere where they can find their own answer by just asking questions. It's difficult, yeah. So, but if I do give advice, I don't know if it's going to get them somewhere because I'm not omniscient. I don't know. I'm not even clairvoyant. Yeah. So, but still, we have to do with whatever we have at the moment. Yeah. So this is why just having a good rebirth again and again and again and again is not enough. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And then when they talk,
I'm still a bit confused
yeah,
with whether the lamrim says, whether the graduated path is, okay, first guru, then, pressure-human rebirth, meditation on
yeah,
death,
yeah,
so far it's fine. But then I'm confused whether it's renunciation, that's fine, but then whether it's emptiness or whether it's compassion. Which one comes first, or basically it depends on the individual?
It depends on the individual, and in general you practice both at the same time. You train both at the same time, you know. And
the Pali tradition is more first emptiness, right? It's only emptiness, basically.
Karma first, maybe before emptiness. But also, without emptiness, you don't really understand how karma works.
Right.
If you don't understand that everything is a dependent arising and that everything is manipulable, how can you understand? How can you understand this if you don't understand emptiness? Yeah, and also in the Pali tradition, then is like ethical conduct, concentration, and then wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness to get out of it. So one knows actually. But when you say, well, so you start with the guru, you don't really start with the guru. You start with the Four Noble Truths. And then when you see the truth in these Four Noble Truths, but then also we don't really see the truth. Only an Arya being sees the truth. That's why they call it the Four Noble Truths. For us, it's not true. Yeah, it's only for somebody who sees this directly it becomes true. For us, it's kind of again true here, but here is still we still run after. We still project that if I'm not well, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's this one's fault. If that would be a different situation, I'd be happy. You know, we still do these things. But at least we can question these views intellectually because we have heard another view. So that's very helpful. And then with the two bodhicittas, like ultimate bodhicitta and conventional bodhicitta, you basically practice, you train to practice, you sometimes teachings on emptiness, other times teaching on this. And when we dedicate at the end, we always try to dedicate with emptiness, that even though we did all these wonderful things now, we dedicate it to all the beings that they will benefit from it, but they don't really exist. They're empty from their own side.
To me, I feel like emptiness is beyond all of that we were talking rebirth, or because emptiness is where everything comes from, and where the infinite and it's
emptiness is where everything comes from. Is a bit dangerous to say because emptiness has.
It's so hard to say.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of dangerous to say because otherwise you think that it's emptiness creating the things. Emptiness is not creating the things. Emptiness is the ultimate nature of something.
Yes.
That's why things can exist. You know, sometimes you hear people say, well, things are empty, but even though they're empty, they still exist. That's wrong. Things can exist because they are empty. In German, it's easier to say. Do you all speak German? Okay.
It's like emptiness is where the energy. I have a lot of plants at home, and I sometimes observe. It's like it's emptiness that where energy is.
Yeah. Again, emptiness is a non-functioning phenomena. Be careful. It's not the space. The space is still conventional. Like everything is spacious. Everything is like open space. But that's still kind of conventional truth.
Emptiness is like, what is this? If you show to a human, if humans say iPhone, if a dog comes in, you say, what is this?
Yeah.
That's how I understand emptiness.
Yeah, like, there's no iPhone in this thing there. Yeah. This iPhone is empty of being a real iPhone. It's just a merely labeled iPhone. It becomes the iPhone when you label it. If you would have had somebody 500 years ago coming in here, you know, and like a time traveling machine, you show them that thing, they say, oh, what do you want me to do with this? They try to explain, they wouldn't be able to understand because the concepts are so crazy for somebody who kind of lived like 500 years ago. Even electricity, they would freak out. Yeah, whereas for small children now, it's like they take this and they start to use
Yeah,
it.
we make it iPhone.
Yeah, the mind is making it a real iPhone. It is an iPhone. Don't go, it's no iPhone, otherwise you go too far. Yeah, it's a merely labeled iPhone, but it's not a real existing from its own side iPhone. Yeah, it is an iPhone and it functions as an iPhone. It's a conventional iPhone. It's a dependent iPhone. What is it dependent on? On its parts, on the function, and on the mind labeling it iPhone. As you see, it's like turned around like this. So you label it iPhone because I have a Sony, so I would just call it a mobile. It's handy. Yeah, you call it iPhone. Now if I go like this, I see the apple. Before I didn't see it. So there's another thing. The moment I go like this, then it becomes an iPhone. So before it wasn't an iPhone, before it was just a mobile. So this is how we start to, because it's not a real iPhone. It can also be something else. But then you would say, but it's a real iPhone. You just saw it in the wrong way. Yeah. Okay. Emptiness means everything that exists has emptiness in it. Everything that exists has these two sides. The ultimate level, which is they're empty of real, true, independent existence. Yeah. The conventional level, that they do exist. And then it becomes what we label it. So that's why they are merely labeled. Yeah. But emptiness itself has no function. You see, that's so nice. We never have to kind of go with other people when they say, but what Buddhism says, this is the truth. No, it's not. It's just conventionally true. It's not ultimately true. And the only thing that is really true, which is emptiness, has no function. Cannot function because it needs a conventional level. You cannot separate these two. Be careful. You can't say, oh, I'm just going into emptiness and everything is okay. There's always a conventional level that goes with it. Yeah, okay.
How do you say it in German?
Was?
Emptiness?
Leerheit. Alles
But
ist
you
leer.
want to explain.
Yeah, how do you say it in German? Is weil alles leer ist, kann es existieren. Nicht, es ist alles leer und trotzdem existiert es. Okay? But trotzdem is okay, it's like this, but because it's empty, it can function. If it wouldn't be empty, things could not function. If that iPhone would not be empty, it could not be an iPhone. Why?
This I know, this I don't know. Because if this is not empty, then the cup cannot hold water.
That's not that kind of emptiness we talk about. But it's good, because the cup can be sometimes empty, sometimes full. Whereas the iPhone is always empty. If that iPhone would not be empty of iPhone, it would always have had to be an iPhone and it could never be something else.
I'm not getting it. If the iPhone is not
Empty of iPhone, that means it could not have been created. Because true existence means it's only itself. It can never be something different. So that means it should have existed since beginningless times and it will not get out of existence. That's why. That kind of emptiness. It lacks. Emptiness means a lack of true, inherent, objective, that's another good word, objective existence. And the way we talk, we see that we are making mistakes. Yeah, we like 12 o'clock we make a break. Yeah, the way we talk, we're making mistakes. Like, for example, I take Nina now as an example, and kind of you maybe, which is absolutely not your nature, but I need to talk like this. Maybe you're always very unpleasant to me, and like already that.
I'm so sorry.
Already that. Just now say you're always kind of unpleasant. So I would kind of accuse you and say, you are objectively, like not I see you as. You are always, totally forgetting that, I don't know, you at one point you were kind to me. It's like always so nasty to me. Only one aspect. Yeah, we make these 3 mistakes when we accuse somebody like this. So it's good to see. It's like, especially this, you are, or like, the politicians, that idiot, objectively, out there. Not, I see you as. As you say, the dog would not see that iPhone as an iPhone. So we see it objectively existing out there, permanent always, and only one aspect, nasty to me, absolutely. This absoluteness, this is lacking emptiness. Yeah, we're always seeing, not always, but many, many things, we see them as absolute. Absolutely good, absolutely bad. Nothing exists that way. And this is what is lacking. It's lacking the objectivity because it needs my view to see Nina as a nasty person. So I see her, but it appears from there. She is, yeah, without me doing anything. She is doing, yeah. Then always, not changing, permanent, always been, will always be, and absolutely no other aspects. Whereas everything exists, has many, many aspects. Okay? So that's the empty part. And then how do we understand this? By practicing generosity, ethical conduct, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, and then wisdom. But these 6 things, actually, you practice them together. Yeah. Even if I develop, so next page is like 24, even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. So for a bodhisattva, the ethical conduct is different than the one for like that we will be talking about this afternoon. Yeah, the ethical conduct of a bodhisattva is definitely not to harm others. In the lower level, that's enough for ethical conduct, but then to accumulate a lot of positive potential and then to help others. And there's 11 ways how you help others. That's the morality or the ethical conduct of a bodhisattva. You take vows also.
Ani Losang, what are the 3 types of morality?
Yeah, exactly. You don't do negative actions. You purify the ones you've already done. You accumulate positive energy by, for example, doing the water bowls this morning, as you did, or making offerings, making prostrations, being a doctor, but being a doctor with bodhicitta, or, like helping others consciously to accumulate your store of positive energy, because otherwise you can't help others, and then helping others. These are the 3 types of morality of a bodhisattva. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. So, but we're not going too much into bodhicitta because otherwise we'll not start with the karma. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. You see, these 6 perfections that you practice, they're helping each other, they're supporting each other. Because when you practice generosity, you kind of lower your attachment. You learn to give, and you really learn to give as much as you can. Not so kind of give and then as long as it's good enough. No, like as much as you can. Freely, happily. By seeing that, wow, I have so much, I can give it. Then we have less attachment. Then ethical conduct without attachment, with not so much attachment, is easier to practice also. Like not to harm others when they take something from you, not to lie because you want something and all that. If you practice ethical conduct, your life will become much easier. Then practicing patience will be not so difficult. Because if you want to practice patience in a very difficult situation and you've never practiced before, it's impossible. You start to hate yourself for not retaliating. Then if you practice patience, that increases your courage. So then the enthusiasm comes also by seeing. If you start to really practice patience consciously, you have so much enthusiasm for the Buddha Dharma. Because you see how wow, I don't need to get upset about this anymore. This is so amazing. Your life becomes so much easier. Yeah. And so then with enthusiasm, because concentration also not very easy to develop because it's like so boring, because it's always the same object again and again and again and again. And then with this concentration, you can realize emptiness directly. So even though you practice them together, like when you give something, it has to be something that is not harmful for the other and is not stolen. It has to be the right person, the right time, and so on. So you're giving with ethical conduct, with patience, because you don't want anything back. No expectations, with enthusiasm. You're not giving up, even though never anything comes up. With concentration, again, to look, what am I giving, how am I giving it, and with wisdom, what me, the gift, the other person, all three totally empty of any inherent existence. So this is how then giving becomes a practice of one of the 6 perfections. Yeah. But then they kind of support each other. This is why they also come in that order. Okay, so that one was like concentration and wisdom here, when it says, once I've pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, like intellectually, then you sit down. Please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. So that would mean you would have already what is called a yogic direct perceiver, like you have a what is it called? When you know these ways of knowing. So the yogic direct perceiver is when you realize, when you have a combination of calm abiding and special insight. Yeah. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. We'll do tomorrow afternoon. We practice some tantra with the Vajrasattva. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. This is when you go into 3-year retreats and stuff like that. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, this is tantra, like the generation stage, completion stage, the essence of Vajrayana. By practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the gurus who show the noble path. Now, this is the whole path with tantra included, yeah, where you would be totally in retreat and practicing what your guru told you to do, and like the normal life here has stopped basically, and that's the goal. This is where you want to go towards, that you can stay in year-long retreats without suffering, being alone, not having the food you want, not having pleasures and like that. That's the goal, basically, so that you can then make this last step onto the path of no more learning. Like that, may the gurus who show the noble path, so this is dedication, and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Outer hindrances, not finding a place, coronavirus, not being able to go to your retreat place, whatever. Inner hindrances, being afraid, being full of doubt, all these kind of things. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities and the stages of the path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. So you have in this short 3 pages, you have the whole path. So, and it's good to read that again and again and again and again. So even if you do the lower practices, you know why you're doing them. So even you meditate on precious human rebirth, you include bodhicitta. I'm doing this because I want to be fully enlightened. Even though you meditate on the shortcomings of samsara, you're doing this because you want to lead everybody out of samsara. Yeah. So once you know the path, the structure of the path, then you start practicing, precious human rebirth. To get up every morning with this, I'm so fortunate. Impermanence and death, they will not last. Then, karma, what comes next? What determines where I'll be reborn next? Then in the lamrim, meditations on the lower states. Westerners, they're not interested in doing this. Rinpoche told me once when I was asking him what, these 10-day courses, when we do the 2 days meditations at the end what to leave out, because you can't do all of it. He said the lower states. He said, stop insisting, they don't believe you anyway, and if you insist, they will start throwing stones at you. But it's really effective, I tell you. I mean, if you read them, and if you meditate on them, and if you take into consideration you could be reborn there, that helps with the karma section and with the ethical conduct. It really does. And with refuge, especially with refuge, it helps also, because that's what you usually do. You do lower states and then the section on refuge. With the developing Buddhism, I think doing the refuge so early, I don't find it so helpful, because you need to know the whole path in order to have some thing. But when you study and practice the lamrim, you practice it with already knowing the Four Noble Truths. Actually, the lamrim is a practice manual. It's not so much for learning; it's for practicing. Okay. Good.
I never understood really what is this Vajrayana.
That's Tantra.
Oh, that's Tantra.
That's Tantra.
Okay.
Indestructible. That is Tantra. When you visualize deities and light coming, and
yes.
and then if you have initiation, you see yourself as the deity,
Yes.
and you let go of what you think you are. It's
Tantra.
That's why it's called the fast vehicle, because you take the result into the path.
Correct. So that's the same thing. Tantra and Vajra.
Yeah, Tantra and Vajra is the same.
Okay.
So if you know what Tantra is, then you know what Vajra is. So it's what is called, it's the same thing. It's one entity but two isolates. It is not the same but not separate.
In Thailand they say same but different.
Exactly. So this is one entity.
That's an easier way to put it.
So you use that when you study emptiness. It's like it's one entity, it's the same, or like the two truths, ultimate truth, conventional truth. It's one entity, but it's two isolates. It's not the same. Yeah. So actually, no, it's not the two truths, because I don't know enough here. Don't want to get onto thin ice with these kind of very high-powered things. Okay, so we have lunch break until 1:30, and then we'll start with the karma. Yeah, and we can continue, because the group is small also, we can continue discussing upstairs if you want, or just take a break, or you go home, or you're going home probably, no? You're staying here? Okay, great. So let's offer maybe the food before we eat, because that is creating a lot of positive energy. And because we're not offering it just for I offer to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, then I get all the merit. Is there in here any offering prayers?
Yes.
Do you know? Yeah, I see Lama Zopa. I saw the picture of Lama Zopa offering his tea. You know the story of Lama Zopa when he's on an aeroplane. So it's everyday Dharma. The picture is on page 118. When he goes on an aeroplane, because he offers, he has, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he offers, you see that he has the joy of offering, because he's convinced that all the Buddhas are receiving what he's offering. So he doesn't stop, and he goes individually to that Buddha, and then to this Buddha, and to that Buddha. And then the plane needs to land, and he hasn't even touched his food yet. So then Roger, so the flight attendant comes, and she says, look, I'm sorry, I have to take away the food. And Roger says, oh, look, but he hasn't even touched it yet. Can you leave it for 2 more minutes? And Rinpoche takes the tray, and he gives it to the flight attendant. He says, no, it's okay, I offered it. So Rinpoche has food in order to offer it, not in order to eat it. Yeah? So that's the goal. The joy of offering. I don't know if you ever saw Lama Zopa Rinpoche doing offerings, but it's like, wow, so much joy, because he sees the Buddhas, so he knows that the Buddhas are receiving it. We don't have enough trust that if we visualize and we offer it, that the Buddhas are receiving it, and we are receiving the positive energy from it, because the karma that we are creating, they're just seeds. They're not flowers yet. And when we will see the flowers, we won't remember that we made all these offerings. It's like, you have a garden and you plant things, and then in the meantime you have an accident and you can't remember anything, and you come into the garden and you go, wow, what a beautiful garden, and you forget that you planted it. Yeah, so let's offer with a lot of joy. First, the joy that we will have something to eat. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. I haven't brought anything because Nina said she will feed me. So the trust here. Yeah, but I can still offer, even if I have nothing I can offer, because I still have a bit of tea. Okay, so you visualize like all the things that you think are totally delicious, totally beautiful, totally fantastic, magnificent, highest quality, very healthy, not creating any CO2. That's another good thing about offering like this. Doesn't harm the environment, but you make it big, really big and beautiful. And you offer it on behalf of all the hell beings, all the hungry ghosts, all the animals, all the humans, asuras and suras, all the beings in the bardo. Maybe it smells a bit burnt, maybe we will not have food, doesn't matter, we can still offer it. It's okay. On the beings in the bardo, the beings in the form and formless realm, to all the Buddhas and to all the Bodhisattvas, who are all your guru if you have a guru. If you don't have a guru, don't worry yet. What is this kind of thing? Guru, Buddha, what? But just know that so many beings have attained full awakening. And to all those, we offer this magnificent food on behalf of all beings who maybe have nothing to offer. And we think that in short-term result from offering the food should be that nobody will have to suffer from addiction. Nobody will get allergies from the food, and especially nobody has to suffer in order for us to get food. And you see the Buddhas are receiving that, and they're sending back light rays that blesses, inspire us, support us in our practice, so that we too can attain that state. If we attain the state of a Buddha, then we also become the basis for other people to make offerings. And we have to, because everything is just a projection, and the Buddha's minds are everywhere and all pervading. And whatever they see, hear, touch, hear, and smell and taste, everything produces bliss in their minds, because their mind is pure. So we think that whatever I'm visualizing now, so put some effort into the visualization. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are receiving it. So you have the same joy as if we would be offering some food to your teacher, to the Dalai Lama. You would feel very, very joyful. So when all this is present, on top of it knowing I, the one who's making the offerings themselves, the one who is receiving it, all are empty of any inherent existence. So this is on page 122, so we can say the verses. Om Aum, Om Aum, Om Aum. The Guru is Buddha, the Guru is Dharma, the Guru is Sangha also, the Guru is the creator of all happiness. To all Gurus I make this offering. May we and those around us in all our future lives never be separated from the Three Jewels, continuously make offerings to the Three Jewels and receive the inspiration of the Three Jewels. To the Supreme Teacher, the precious Buddha, to the Supreme Refuge, the precious Dharma, to the Supreme Guides, the precious Sangha, to the Triple Gem, the object of refuge, I make offerings. Okay, so we meet again at 1:30. I don't know if you're staying here or going out or whatever.
Yeah, if you want to stay upstairs and eat, or we can take some of the benches out if you want to eat out. There's just a very, very small table outside. As you wish.
And please enjoy your lunch, because so many people work very hard with very low wages to make your lunch. And then if you don't enjoy it, that would be a real waste. So even though they don't see that you're enjoying it, but it would be like somebody, offers you some food, and then you just say like, oh, But they put a lot of effort into making that food for you, so then enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with enjoying, yeah? There's nothing wrong with pleasure and with a sense of gratitude. Wow, somebody, many people work in the very hot sun on these fields for very low wages, so now I will enjoy it. May they be happy, may they be well. So we connect, not just my food. And then it doesn't matter what it is, actually. Because when your mind is okay, it doesn't matter what is in the plate. And anyway, food is for nourishment, and we mistake it for pleasure. It's not. It doesn't have to be pleasure. If it's pleasant, if it's delicious, all the better. If it's not, it doesn't matter. It's just for nourishment. That's the purpose of food. If we would have understood that, we wouldn't be destroying the planet for what we need to eat. But we don't understand. We think it's a source of pleasure. It's not. It's to nourish us. That's what it's for. Okay.